Britain must face the consequences of its Brexit vote, EU negotiator Michel Barnier, pictured in Brussels on Friday, warned today. Britain must face the consequences of its Brexit vote, EU negotiator Michel Barnier warned today. Mr. Barnier ruled out striking a unique deal for Britain in the trade talks unlocked by Theresa May at the EU summit this week. He said Britain must choose between one of two broad models that already exist, based on how Norway and Canada work with the EU. Norway accepts almost all EU single market rules and in return gets free access to EU markets. Canada has less access, much more freedom over how it regulates business. Theresa May will hold the first official cabinet discussions this week on what model Britain will seek in the next phase of talks, with a deep split among top ministers. Brexit Secretary David Davis has said he wants a Canada plus deal, suggesting a looser arrangement but close access for financial services. Mr. Barnier's new intervention, in an interview with Prospect magazine today, suggests Brussels will resist the idea. He warned the most difficult part of the negotiations will come in the next phase. The chief negotiator, who works to guidelines handed down by EU leaders, said Brussels was happy to accept Britain's decision to leave the EU, its single market and customs union. Brexit Secretary David Davis has said he wants a Canada plus deal, suggesting a looser arrangement but close access for financial services. The new intervention from Mr. Barnier, pictured with Angela Merkel on Friday, suggests Brussels will resist the idea. Theresa May, pictured in Maidenhead today, must balance competing demands inside the cabinet as Britain draws up its negotiating position. But he warned, they have to realize there won't be any cherry picking. We won't mix up the various scenarios to create a specific one and accommodate their wishes, mixing, for instance, the advantages of the Norwegian model, member of the single market, with the simple requirements of the Canadian one. What happened at the summit this week? On Friday, EU leaders rubber-stamped a draft divorce deal to say sufficient progress had been made on issues about the separation. This unlocks the crucial next phase in which a transition deal and future trade will be discussed. EU Council President Donald Tusk has announced new negotiating guidelines for the EU's negotiator, Michel Barnier. These instruct him to strike a transition deal before launching long-term trade talks. What does the EU want in the transition period? The new negotiating guidelines suggest the EU want a complete standstill transition that keeps Britain inside all EU laws for a fixed period, expected to be 2 years and running until March 2021. This means freedom of movement will continue to apply, Britain will not be allowed to sign new trade deals and European court rulings will still be enforced. What does Britain want? Theresa May has set out her own vision for a 2-year transition in which most EU rules continue to apply. She wanted full-blown trade talks to run in parallel with transition talks from January but looks set to be disappointed.